Welcome to SB405D Project Management. My name is Felicia Frida Aidan Akar, and I'll be taking you through Unit 6 Project Risk and Quality Management. Our discussion is going to focus on Session 4 Risk Response Strategies. By the end of the session, you should be able to identify some risk response strategies and then explain how applicable they are to project management. So yes, when risk happens, the unforeseen, when they happen, what do you do? These are five key things that usually tend to happen. It is not the only ones that you can do. There are more, but then these are the five main ones that happen. You have the avoidance or the prevention. Yes, there are some risks which you can foresee and you can what avoid or you can prevent it from happening. There are some that when it happens, you won't be in a capability to what handle it all, and so you may want to give it to someone else, transfer it. That's where we have insurance coming in. There is also some that you can do, sorry, to mitigate or reduce it. And so when you are doing any project, you usually focus on safety as well, occupational hazards and all these ones. And you put warning signs, you put all those things in there just to reduce the risk that could happen. Then we have acceptance where the thing has happened, you just have to work with it or spend on it or solve it one way or the other. And sharing, sometimes you may have to share your risk with people just to reduce the impact it is having on your project. So let's delve in and let's look at each one of them, what really goes in as well. So with the avoidance strategy or the prevention, is about being proactive enough. If you are proactive enough, you should be able to have a very detailed planning. You should have alternative of approaches. So if you're working on a project where there's a lot of money involved, you know that people can potentially embezzle it. How will they embezzle? Why will they embezzle? Sometimes if you're not paying them well and all those things, it can cause it. So you need to have identify and do proper planning into it. There should be alternative approaches. So maybe you should have a safe key or safe for the money. There should even be more authority, like before money goes out, who is signing, who is supervising, who is seeing to it. Have a lot of plan A, plan B, plan C, all those things in place to check it as well. Then there's also the protection and safety systems. We see that a lot with our projects because if you don't put in place some basic occupational health and safety things in place, you're going to even have trouble with the law as well. Then there's operational reviews. There's also regular inspections to make sure that yes, the facility and everything is intact or safe. Training and skills enhancement, especially for the people who are involved. If you don't train them and enhance their skills, they won't be able to work or do things that can avoid some of these risks that permits to it. Then there's also the permits to work. Usually when you wait for permits to do your work, they try and check a lot of things to make sure that you are going to work in a very safe and sound environment and not going to cause trouble or havoc to anyone else. Procedural changes also come in there. Sometimes we have to make some changes to the way you do things just in case or just to mitigate or reduce some sort of risk that can come up from what you are doing. Then the preventive maintenances as well. You know your chairs at the office are weak and you're waiting for someone to sit on fall off before you replace it. All of these are not the best. So maintenance is very key. You have an elevator and it's not been maintained over a year, anyone can get stuck in and it can just fall off or anything. So some of these ones you'd have to be avoid it or prevent, and you can do it using these strategies. Then we have the risk transfer where you don't want to be the one to bear the impact of it when it happens. You want someone else to take care of it, and that's where insurance comes in. So usually you transfer it to firms who have greater capability or capacity to manage it. So depending on the risk threshold, you could transfer it to clients, contractors, subcontractors, designers, etc. It also includes insurance policies and especially when the risk is beyond the control management as well. Then we have risk reduction, things that can reduce the impact of the risk just in case they happen. One is the contingency plan, like I was making mention of. You should have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, just in case therefore perhaps this happens, you can then go to something else and work upon it. Then you should develop quality assurance as well. this is what we want, and we have to make sure that at every point in time what we are doing is matching what we want. There should be that set standard we want to achieve, which should be reflecting of the quality we want. Then there should be separation or relocation of activities and resources. So this is for this is for that. You're able to reduce some of those risks as well. Then there's also what we call the contract terms and conditions. A lot of firms, you go to even banks and things, and then in their parking lot, they'll tell you management is not responsible for whatever happens to your car as you've parked there. Those are all trying to reduce the impact it has on them. Just in case you go and someone comes to smash your car, it is not the fault of the bank. And so projects projects and project managers are becoming very smart, and then incorporating are being very smart, and then they are reducing their risk with the contract terms and conditions. There's also the crisis management and disaster recovery plan. We even saw with the COVID, yes. So when things happen, how do we even go outside it? What do we do to go over it? These are all in there. Then you have the risk acceptance or the retention, which is usually for the low to medium risk. That's usually, you can't transfer it, you can't avoid it. Those ones you just have to work with it when they happen. So these are usually from emerging from the policy or nature of disasters that are usually difficult to manage. Hence, it must be controlled for you to be able to minimize the impact it has on your firm. So in most cases, most project managers conduct the cost benefit analysis to accept or retain such risk, especially when when other solutions are uneconomical. So sometimes you look at this thing, if you go and do insurance over it, they may not even want to do insurance, or the price of it will be too much. This is something which may not really happen, or when it happens, the impact is not going to be so hard on you. You can just take it on. When it happens, you just pay for it, or you just solve it in there as well. So while risk transfer could work perfectly under usual situations and mostly woefully failed under unusual situations, risk sharing is a whole different concept from risk transfer. Risk transfer is you are going to give it totally to someone. So if you have a third party insurance, if you have a comprehensive insurance, you know that once something happens to your car, the insurance company is supposed to indemnify you or take charge of it and then pay for it. By risk sharing is that you are dividing it or into portions among two or more entities or parties. So sometimes you can have a contract such that if there are delays or something, you the contractor are taking this percentage, the client is also taking that percentage. That is what risk sharing. Yeah, Chim. That is the idea about it. But risk transfer is that if this thing happens, you are going to be the one who is solely responsible for it. So in this session, we have looked at risk management strategies, which we explained quite a number. Thank you.